And now it's time for some smartphone news. Now let's get my screen share up as usual. And here it is. So let's have our first one, and that is the Galaxy S26, S26 Plus, and S26 Ultra screen protectors getting leaked. So this is coming from GSM Arena, and the next articles are also the same. Samsung was supposed to revamp its flagship smartphone lineup next year, rumor said. But if that was ever true, the company changed its mind at some point, and now we're expecting the Galaxy S26, S26 Plus, and S26 Ultra to arrive in early 2026. And now we have the purported screen protectors for the trio, which have been leaked in China, and we will have a look right here. So two things stand out here, along with the confirmation that these will be the three models launching early next year. So on the left you have, let me just zoom in right here. So if we take a closer look at the image there, you can see we have on the left S26, and in the middle is S26 Plus, and on the right is S26 Ultra. So interesting how it looks for the screen protection for the specific models. Yeah, and I believe the bezels is relatively short. Yeah, as I said, short. So first, the bezels seem very small and symmetrical on all sides for all devices. And second, the curvature radius of the screens looks identical, which means they will look like they belong to the same family when viewed from the front for the first time. So far, the Ultra has always had less rounded corners, but if this image is accurate, all three models will finally converge on the same curvature radius in 2026. And to recall, TLDR or the recap, the S26 family will be powered by Samsung's Exynos 26000 system on chip in some markets, while the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 will be for US, Canada, Japan, and China. What they mean some markets is that the Philippines, which is this country I'm living in right now, will get Exynos. The trio is now rumored to make its debut, which we covered yesterday, is going to be debuted on February 25. So, what do I think about the screen protectors leak for the Galaxy S26, S26 Plus, and S26 Ultra? Well, yeah, the bezel is very small. It really is an interesting design so far coming from Samsung, if that is confirmed to be true. Okay, moving on to the next one, and this time we have the stats report for the Indian market. And yup, it grew 18% during the third quarter, and Apple breaks into the top 5. Damn. Yup, Apple is now in the top 5. So the Indian smartphone market was positive in the third quarter of 2025, according to Counterpoint's report. The market grew in sheer volume by 5% year over year compared to third quarter of 2024. But even more impressively, it grew 18% in value year over year. That's because of an increase in the premium segment, which for the phones above 30,000 Indian rupees, shipments grew 29% year over year, driven by robust demand for Apple and Samsung flagships. Apple secured 9% of the total volume, but impressively 28% of the value share. Samsung was second in value terms at 23% of the entire market share. So let's have a look at the charts coming from Counterpoint. So let's zooming in here. So this is last year. So Poco was in top 5 and Apple, oh sorry, is it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, oh wait, yeah, they were still in top 5. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, you can see for yourself that this is the last year's chart, and in here we have this year's chart. So for Samsung, they lost 3% of its market share, while Oppo stayed relatively the same at 30%, while Xiaomi lost also 3%. And Apple, on the other hand, gained 2% of its market share. And for Poco, lost 1% of the market share, same for OnePlus. As for Vivo, they gained 3% market share. That is pretty interesting turning point. And for the others that are not part of the charts, or probably brands that are not listed in this chart, it gained 1%. That's pretty much it. So that's the charts we are looking at. So yeah, Vivo was first in volume of shipped phones and third in value. The brand, excluding IQOO, enjoyed success with its T-series mid-range lineup. It was the fastest growing brand in terms of volume with 54% year over year. Motorola's shipments grew an impressive 53% year over year thanks to strong demand for the G and Edge series. Lava, which is the local Indian smartphone maker, was the fastest growing brand in the under 10,000 Indian rupee segment. MediaTek led the smartphone market with a 46% stake, followed by Qualcomm with 29%. So that is a very interesting chart we are looking at. And again, Vivo gained 3% of its market share, Samsung declined 3%, Oppo stayed the same, OnePlus lost 1%, Xiaomi lost 3%, Poco lost 1%, and Apple gained 2%, while others gained 1%. That is some differences we're looking at. And now, as we are about to wrap up, yup, Apple Intelligence to receive major updates in the next iOS version, that is 27. So, according to Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg, it is being reported that iOS 27 and iPadOS 27 will come with some major updates to the entire Apple Intelligence suite, as well as Apple's broader AI strategy. Wow, that is interesting. What they mean broader AI strategy is, I might say, they could be how do I say this? They could be planning more on AI stuff. So yeah, I agree with what they're saying. Pretty big words if you ask me. But unfortunately, Gurman hasn't shared anything more concrete so far. And as for the versions, it will be officially presented in June, that is next year, as usual, during Apple's annual Worldwide Developers Conference, or shortened as WWDC, and it should both become available next September alongside the iPhone 18 family. Again, what they mean, broader AI strategy, we don't know, but what I'm guessing is they're going to plan more AI. So yeah, we don't know what these major improvements will be, but Apple's AI play has so far been rather weak, especially compared to Google's, and some might argue even Samsung's, if they're going to consider comparing to other companies that make phones. So it definitely needs to finally take a proper seat on the AI hype train. Good luck to Apple if they can succeed, if they can make their AI product successful, competing with OpenAI and Google's Gemini. And maybe 2026 is the year in which that will happen, with iOS 26.4 and the revamped Siri, and then iOS 27 and these unnamed improvements. And what are the unnamed? Well, we have to find out more next year. So yeah, Apple just getting major enhancements. I can already say that is a huge job. That is going to be very interesting year for Apple.